had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Well, kind of, sort of, but without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C., a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Matty C., a.k.a. etc., etc., etc. And we welcome our from Woods and Shores Studio. No Voldy today, Kerf Doctor. What's going on here?
Yes, I'm afraid his duties. It's section basketball time, so he's off calling that game tonight.
Oh, my gosh. Well, here's the thing, though. We have to think about it this way. I wonder if he's just saying that because he can't feel his arms because he's so excited. Because we've been gone for a week.
It's true. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, without further ado, that's the Kerf Doctor. He's pulling double duty tonight, people. So it's going to be awesome. Okay, we have a great show lined up for you. We got a little thing called Tater Tot Hot Take. We got Callahan School of Logic, ARA, Shield shoutouts. Because the Shield, you know, he threw us a bone and was like, guys, I'll give you the shoutouts. All we have to do is read them off for you. It's going to be awesome. Okay, he's here in spirit. That's the nice thing about it, Kerf Doctor. So we welcome all the zoners that are tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we got to start off things with something called Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Yes, it is fresh out of the oven. It is Tater Tot Hot Take. And guess what we're talking about today? We're talking about the Minnesota Wild. We're talking about Zach Parise. A couple days ago, the NHL deadline had passed. And there was a lot of talk leading up to this potential trade with the Minnesota Wild and the New York Islanders, which we didn't know Zach Parise was on the block, Kerf Doctor, which is really interesting to me, and especially to all of our zoners here, too. You have that 13-year contract. You're getting paid all that money, and one of the top Minnesota figures, it was about to be traded to the New York Islanders. It was a huge surprise to me as I was looking on the socials medias, as we like to say here on MinneZona Sports Live. But I mean, the zoners definitely have to sound off on this. I'm sure we got all of our Wild fans will be chiming in on this, and we'll get to as many comments as possible. But it was a real surprise to me, Kerf Doctor. I think
absolutely
the one thing that I was surprised about is that there's all these other names on here as I'm reading it, Dumba, Brodin, guys like that. Now all of a sudden, Zach Parise was on the block.
I know.
This is crazy.
Very scary to hear too. I thought they were going to maybe pull a Minnesota Twins and let him go. So kind of, at least for me.
Right. And, I kind of look at this, and I look at this from a different perspective, is that if they would have traded him, it would have been like a stab to the heart almost, like to all of our Minnesota fans. Because the thing is, Zach Parise has done so much for the state. And the thing is that losing him is almost like losing if we're going to talk about, huge figures right now in Minnesota. I mean, Kyle Rudolph, if he was gone, that's one of the things that would surprise a lot of people because he's done so much in the community, things like that. I mean, Zucker, we kind of saw coming.
True, yeah, writing was on the wall
we
there.
kind of saw coming a little bit, but also, it's Parisi. I understand what Guerin's doing here. I really do. You're trying to get rid of that huge contract. I mean, you have the Parisi contract, and not only that, you have the Suter contract too. So I mean, there's a lot going on here. Guerin has done what a lot of other GMs have tried to do, to kind of just say, we're going to blow everything up, we're going to rebuild from here. And I think that's what Guerin was trying to do. But I think, especially when Parisi was going to waive his no-trade clause. It's just crazy. But let's get to some our zoners here. Blake Hockert, one of our top fans. Parisi is getting cheaper by the year now. Don't sell at the bottom. GMBG wants cap space, but he will get it when Koivu retires after this year. And I think Koivu will retire after this year, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done a lot for the Wild, but I mean, sometimes you got to know when to call it quits. I love Koivu. That's the thing. That's the thing, Curve Doc.
Great player, great career.
Yeah, he's had a great career, and that's the thing is, it's like, it's almost like know when to hang it up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and I'm not saying it's like, because I've never played hockey before. Okay, I think
Same.
we know that, but the thing is that we got to look at this from the perspective of, hey, we need to get younger. We don't need to get older, type of thing. But, there's a lot of promising prospects that the Wild have coming up. Kaprizov is one of them. I think if they pull the trigger on him, bring him up, probably not this year, but I assume, in the next few years, I think that'll be a big help. But Guerin is doing everything in his power to try and turn this around. Give Minnesota fans some help here, and say, we're going to be rebuilding. Perfect saying. Rome wasn't built in a day. It is. It wasn't. That's the thing. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the Minnesota Wild, they're on the outside looking in here on the playoff picture, but if they keep playing, hard and, working, winning out is kind of the big thing. It's like, don't just tank. The season's not over. Hockey's a little different. If you want to tank, you do that in the NBA. But, getting back to the Parisi thing, I got to say, Zach Parisi, him wanting to waive his no-trade clause, I think is kind of smart. And I think he's done everything in his power to help the Minnesota Wild organization out. And you can only do so much with all of with everything around you. The Wild have come so close, but, it almost seems like it's either the first round or the second round or they get bounced. And it's not that it's Zach Parisi's fault by any means. But if they would have traded him, it would have sucked. But the thing is that they have done what they needed to do, and just kind of take everything, Curve Doctor, and say, you know what, we're just going to kind of rebuild here. And I don't blame the Wild at trading him. What do you think?
No, you're right. He's got a lot of money tied up in that contract, and we haven't been able to quite break through or get hot.
Right.
But honestly, with the Wild, they seem to get hot, but never quite in time for the playoffs.
Right.
So honestly, even though they're on the outside right now, all they got to do is get hot at playoff time, pull a New York Giants, like winning those last two Super Bowls. Oh, I guess we're good now. And that's all you need to do. But you're right, long-term, Parisi might be good to part ways.
Yeah, and it's not a knock or anything against Zach Parisi, and I think we all know that. Mm-hmm. And the Wild are trying to turn things around and say, I know Dumba was in talks, Brodin was in talks, but I don't know. But it looks like we got another one here from Blake. The other thing is his name is big to New York Islander fans. It's where JPP, his dad, went and played late in his career, did great things there. So he would have instantly been loved there. And I 100% agree. And I think that's what Guerin was trying to do. And I think what Guerin is doing is like, okay, it might not work best for the Wild, but let's try to find Parisi a place where he will like it. Zucker, Zucker's doing really well over in Pittsburgh with the Penguins. So you got to look at it from a broader perspective and say, okay, this is how it is now. and he's still on the team with the Wild. I don't know if they'll move on from him after the season or whatever they need to do, but Zach Parise has done everything in his power to help the Wild, and I think it's almost time to say, okay, we gotta start from scratch here. Is kind of the big thing that we're looking at this, and I'm sure Voldy would agree too. But he's had 21 goals, 16 assists, and 61 games with the Wild. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, it's not like you have an Alex Ovechkin type person.
No, but honestly, I would take those stats any day of the week because I'm no hockey star, and then that'd be a great payday. Right?
It is. He's already getting paid.
That's true, yeah.
He's getting paid a lot. I mean, he's just a good person too. He really is. And it's nothing personal. It's just business.
Yeah.
It's how we kind of look at it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of like the Matt Burke when he parted ways with us too. Obviously it was sad to see, but even he understood. It's just business, and he's found his way back anyway.
He's here.
Yeah.
He's here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So.
Doing great things.
Tremendous things. So he's doing a good job, and with Parise, it would really stink because then I'd have to get another Wild jersey, which I probably should anyway. But again, we'll have to see how it would have panned out, and it looks like the Wild. I'm looking at my notes here. They would have landed another New York Islander, or Andrew Ladd, 34-year-old left winger. He would have to waive his no trade clause too. So they would be getting something in return, but it's almost kind of like a cash dump. It's like, okay, we're gonna move on here. Boom, drop off Zach Parise, and then the Islanders. Okay, here you can have him. He's a great person. He'll be a great player for you guys. But this is kind of one of those things. It's like we're rebuilding.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's how I look at it.
That's what we ought to do.
We're rebuilding. So. Anyway, I think that will do it for our Tater Tot Hot Take. Like I said, we only have one today because I want to get into something that has been eating at me the past couple weeks since we haven't had a show the past week. And also, there's been a lot of talk about this because coming up right now is something called Callahan's School of Logic.
Class is in session. You're enrolled in Callahan's School of Logic.
Okay, boys and girls, settle down. Okay. So there's this thing on social media. It's one of the platforms we have on the social medias. It's called Twitter. And a lot of athletes and a lot of people use Twitter to, try to get people going, get people guessing. And one of these people goes by the name of Stefan Diggs. Stefan Diggs is one heck of a player, folks. And I've always had kind of, ever since the Minneapolis Miracle, Stefan Diggs has kind of been the epitome of, all Vikings fans love Stefan Diggs, okay? And everything that Stefan Diggs has done up to this point has been nothing short of phenomenal. But we have to look at this current situation. I've seen a lot of talk here on social medias about, the Vikings are going to trade Diggs. He doesn't want to be here. Oh, he deleted anything Vikings related. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Vikings fans should know by now that he's been doing this ever since he got to Minnesota. Okay? Now, I just want to clarify here that Stefan Diggs, people that want Stefan Diggs to be traded, I don't know what you're on or what you're thinking about, but the thing is that Stefan Diggs is not going to be traded, okay? Even if he wants to be, the Vikings are not, and I repeat, are not going to be trading Stefan Diggs, okay? Stephon Diggs, here, I'm going to, the 5-year extension that he got, worth $72 million. 72, okay? Think about that, okay? $40 million is guaranteed, okay? $40 million is guaranteed. And then he's earning up to $81 million overall, okay? Now, for people that say, "Oh, we could trade Diggs for a couple first rounders from the Patriots," I know Belichick would want him. You know, any team would want Stephon Diggs. Any team would want Stephon Diggs, people. Okay, but financially, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Okay, and also, if he's unhappy here, then shame on him. Seriously, shame on him. The Vikings have done everything in their power to hold on to him and make him part of this offense, okay? After he had his little blow-up after the Bears game this year at Soldier Field, and then he didn't show up to practice, unhappy with his role in the offense, stuff like that, okay? I get emotional. Kerf Doctor gets emotional. Everybody gets emotional. Diggs cares about the team. He wants to win. Okay? He's very competitive. He's one heck of a football player. Okay? We owe Stephon Diggs a lot. But if he's unhappy, what can you be unhappy about? What I mean, honestly, after that Bears game, he went off. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden now people are saying, well, no, we should trade him. He's a diva. Diggs is a diva. Diggs isn't well, the thing is, I shouldn't say he isn't a diva because a lot of wide receivers, yeah, okay. That's kind of the thing that they put up as saying, okay, well, you know, wide receivers are divas. Yeah, there's Antonio Brown. That's one. But, I mean, the thing is Stephon Diggs, have you ever seen Stephon Diggs run routes, things like that? The guy works hard. He does everything in his power to do everything for the team. Okay? Everything is concerning the team. Oh, well, he doesn't get along with Cousins, blah, blah, blah. Every time I see them on the sidelines, they're talking about what they can do better. And I've seen videos that say, you don't have to force bleep to me, as Stephon Diggs said. Okay? Look at this from a different perspective. Okay? Don't believe everything that you see on social media, zoners. Okay, don't believe everything. Not everything on the internet is true. I know some people like to say, "Oh, well, you know, everything, you know, social media, it's got to be true." Every person, especially Rick Spielman at the Combine, said, "We are not trading why would Stephon Diggs is going to be a Viking?" I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what he said. Okay? Stephon Diggs is not going to be traded. It doesn't make any financial sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And if he's unhappy, what is there to be unhappy about? Your only offense? You had over 1,000 receiving yards, Diggsy. I mean, come on. We all have to look at this from a broader scope here, zoners. And I'm not saying it's the zoners, because the zoners are fantastic. Okay? I'm saying people on social media talking about how, and then the whole Washington thing too, Kerf Doctor, I don't know if you've seen this too, but Diggs is, you know, he went to Maryland, he's kind of from that area and everything like that. And, you know, we have all these Washington Redskins fans that think that they're going to get him because he's like, oh, he's from there and he wants to be traded. He's rumored to be traded. No, that's not how this works. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. You mean, I don't know. What do you think here, Kerf?
Well, I think you're very spot on there, DJ Matty C. The thing I've never got with this whole thing is that it's just kind of like that old saying, if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes a true. I feel like they're trying to kind of do it that way. But again, it makes no sense at all that Diggs wants to go. I mean, it's literally trying to get a story going. Well, there's nothing there. There is no story.
There's no story.
Your fake news, sit down.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, is that there's no story here, okay? This is the bottom line, is that he's not going to be traded. He's not. So enough of the, oh, well, if we send him off here, if we send him off there. No, this isn't how this works, people, okay? This is Stephon Diggs will be a Minnesota Viking this year, okay? Now, I understand, well, what about the Percy Harvin thing? Spielman said that there was no intent to trade Percy Harvin. That's a different situation. There's difference. I mean, Percy Harvin, you could tell that he wanted out. I mean, he absolutely wanted out. He was gone, okay? But the thing is we have to understand that this isn't going to happen, okay? I can't see it happening, because if it did, I don't know. Because the thing is if it did, I feel like the Vikings really would have dropped the ball. They really would have dropped the ball on this. But the thing is that we all have to remind ourselves that financially it makes no sense. There's a lot of dead cap. There's a lot of dead cap that the Vikings would have to eat up from that contract. I mean, if he really wanted out, it would have to be Jimmy Butler bad. Honestly, it would have to be Jimmy Butler bad. Like, he would have to be going after teammates, things like that, okay? But from the fact that people base this off Diggs' social media, Diggs does this all the time. I followed Stephon Diggs ever since he was a Viking, okay? Ever since he was a Viking. He does this type of stuff. He does this stuff to get people going. I mean, it just baffles me why everybody is like, he wants to be traded. I just know it because it says from his social media. No one understands. And that's why a lot of people are making this something out of nothing. Zoners, feel free to chime in here. There's a lot of people that, I feel so strongly about this because I am a Stephon Diggs fan. I am a huge Stephon Diggs fan.
You've got a jersey of his. That's how dedicated.
if you guys watch the intro, that's what it is. Stephon Diggs had one of the best, if not the best, moment in Minnesota Vikings history with the Minneapolis Miracle, especially against those stinking Aints, okay? Now, I want to kind of cap this off here, folks, by saying this, okay? Stephon Diggs is going to be a Minnesota Viking this year. They are not going to trade him. If he's unhappy with the offense, if he's unhappy with his contract, shame on him. Okay? Shame on him. But the thing is that there should be no issue with Stephon Diggs with the role in the offense, especially what he did last year. When Thielen was out, he had to step up, and that's what he did. He stepped up because he's Stephon Diggs. He works his tail off. I'm telling you, every time I watch him play, maybe he gets a little emotional. Yeah, he gets mad. Who doesn't get mad? Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, they got mad at each other. And then people making a big deal of that. Okay? This is bringing up a story on social media. There is no chance, and I'm telling you right now, no chance that Stephon Diggs is going to be traded. Unless the deal is just astronomically amazing. And they can eat up all that dead cap.
Would you like to lock that in? Final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer. Yeah.
Nice.
Not everything on the internet is true. Exactly, Laura. Thank you. Okay. To paraphrase what I'm saying, that's true. I've said so much, but I feel so strongly about this. Honestly, I could have had this as an absurd or proof story. And are the Vikings going to trade Stephon Diggs? Absurd. Most absurd statement of the year. Almost.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not trading him. Okay. I just wanted to cap that off with that. Diggs will not be traded. Zoners, what do you think? We want to hear from you as well. And we're going to move on to another favorite segment for the Zoners, okay? And it's called Absurd or Approved. Check it.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
Alrighty, absurd or approved? How about it?
Curve Doctor.
Yeah, I'm flattered to have this honor. Lost my sheet.
Lost
Thank
your
you,
sheet,
Maddie
I got
C.
you.
I knew something was off here in that too. First, this is dedicated to Voldy, who's out calling that high school sectional basketball game. I'll do my best, Voldy.
Hopefully he's ready for next week.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Kerf Doctor, why don't you rattle them out for us, please?
Alrighty, Matt. Our first story comes in the realm of the NFL. And let's see, I'm going to get the graphic up here, too. I'm being a multitasking ninja.
You know, that's the thing, is like you can only do so much with it.
Do so much. Well, anyway, now that we're back in action here, Matt, here's the deal. So all offseason, the question in Dallas has been, will Dak Prescott get a new deal? The Cowboys have eagerly been wanting to give him a long-term deal, but they don't want to pay him Carson Wentz, Jimmy G type money. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So absurd or approved, Matty C, should the Cowboys franchise tag Dak?
They've been really battling this ever since Dak's kind of emerged on the scene. Dak's had some really good games. Dak's had some really bad games. Okay, Legends, appreciate that, Lucas. Appreciate that. Well, hopefully we get there as Legends, but, you know, we'll go from there. But anyway, going back to the Dak thing, I know Court Hansen, who's definitely tuning into this, because I kind of I like to forewarn our zoners, you know, what kind of topics we got coming up. And I think this is a perfect thing. Dak Prescott, I don't like the Cowboys. Kerf Doctor doesn't like the Cowboys. Voldy, I'm sure, doesn't like the Cowboys. But if there's one thing I'd like to say, is that I actually like Dak Prescott. I do. And here's the thing, is that he has proven every step of the way that he is I'd say, above average quarterback. To very good. I mean, he could get up to that status, but the thing is that he works on his craft. Every time I watch Dak Prescott play, he definitely plays well. And, you know, a lot of the zoners here are tuning in here. I mean, Nick, my brother-in-law, Dak proved without Zeke he can't lead the team, therefore should not be a top-paid QB. I agree with you on that, Nick. And also, we all have to understand, too, that everyone's going to have an opinion about Dak Prescott, because what team does he play for? He plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay? But if you're going to pay him Jimmy G, Carson Wentz type money. You know, Jimmy G had a great year. Carson Wentz kind of up and down a little bit. The thing is that if they want to sign him to a long-term deal, Dak's going to be asking that amount of money. But going back to the question by the Kerf Doctor, I got to say, it's a tough sell, because Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. I mean, he is. I'm not saying he's he's better than a lot of the quarterbacks that are out right now, you know. And, you know, it's so tough. But here's how I look at it from our zoners. He is not a Super Bowl caliber QB. Agreed. Does Dallas want to lock themselves into a one and done in the playoffs for the next 8 years? So technically what Blake's saying is, do you want another Tony Romo? Is what he's saying
what
here.
I stick to.
If you pay him top money from Nick, you're going to have to not pay their top players. That's true. That is very true. If you are going to pay him, the thing is, let me give you this scenario.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay him that amount of money, you have to almost be like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, caliber type of quarterback. Is Dak that? No. Hell no. Okay? That is definitely for sure not true. But the thing is we gotta look at this from a broader perspective. Should they franchise tag him? I think if you're still debating on how to work this deal out, you don't pay him like you will eventually will Mahomes, because Mahomes is going to get paid so much money when he gets that extension. But we all have to realize here too, zoners, is that Dak shouldn't be getting paid that much. He shouldn't be getting paid like Jimmy G, Carson Wentz money, okay? I don't think that they should pay him that amount of money. Blake, sign Winston. Just got my LASIK. Now he'll only throw 3 picks per game instead of 4. As we like to say here on the Zone, infamous Jameis. I don't know about that. I think infamous Jameis has little issues with that. Let's see what Lucas has got. Not many QBs are really worth it, but if you want to be relevant, need something. It's true. But if you want to build around, that's the thing. I feel like Dak has to look at this and say, okay, they're not going to give me this type of money.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. But if we want to win a Super Bowl, I got to take less in order to do more with what we have. And the thing is Dak struggles when he doesn't have a good running game. Like Nick has said, like our zoners have said. So we got to look at this and say, okay, should they franchise? I think at this point you franchise tag them. I think it's a stamp of approval that they have to franchise tag them, because if they can't come up with a deal here, it's just going to get too frustrating. Wait another year, figure it out, okay, and then go from there. Unless rumors again. This is the Twitterverse again here now too. There's like speculation that Tom Brady might be interested if he doesn't go. Yeah, if he doesn't go with if he doesn't go to the Cowboys, if he doesn't stay with the Patriots, if he goes to Cowboys, he's not going to the Cowboys. I'll say it, I'll tell you that right now. Unless Jerry Jones does something with trying to give him a lot of money to come to Dallas Cowboys. But no, it's not going to happen. Tom Brady's not going to go there. So again, I don't care what they do with it, but I think if you're going to try and work it, stamp of approval. Kerf Doctor, what do you got?
Well, it's interesting, Matt. A lot of good stuff being brought up here in the discussion, and a lot of zoners chiming in too. I think it's tough, as you've said, but I'm almost in the camp that I think you kind of have to pay him with some value. Obviously, sports has some politics, if you will, where you got to tread carefully. You got a lot of egos. You got personalities. And even though Dak is not maybe the most top-tier quarterback, it's one of those expressions where, like they say, a car is an expression of your personality. Not that I fully buy into that, too. You know, I love my Buick, but I don't like I'm built like a Buick, if you know what I mean. But thank you. I'm here all week. But I think it says a lot as a team, depending on what you value on a guy. If you pay him of a higher value, it says maybe that you're more trusting of him. And again, psychologically, that's kind of where I'm coming from too. You know, but either way, it's a dicey one too. So I think, like others have said, I think you pony up a little bit, give him some money, because finding a good and even a mediocre quarterback is pretty tough in the NFL market, and you won't find any in the XFL, as we've been seeing in the highlight clips so far.
It's true. But I think also, I mean, so you think it's absurd, though, is what you're saying? Like that they should franchise.
You're right. I'm so used to not being A or A. Yeah, so I'd say it's absurd. That's right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Just wanted to double check.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think you throw that on him.
But this is good. We got a lot of good discussion. Okay. But we're going to stay with the NFL, I believe. So why don't you rattle off the next one for us, Kerf Doctor?
Absolutely. Here. Well, it's that time of the year again when the NFL is working on its new collective bargaining agreement, and a very interesting proposal has been circulating around, as some zoners probably have already seen. But here's some of the main things that are being proposed in the latest collective bargaining agreement. First off, teams would now be able to activate a third player off injured reserve during the season. Might be kind of nice to have that. Teams with 9 home games in one season of a 17-game schedule would then have 8 games the following year. Another thing that they're proposing within that is that the 17th game would not be an international game for every team. There would be a cap on the total number of international games, so the Browns aren't stuck doing it all the time.
Gosh, international.
And let's see here. The other one is that player discipline for off-field violations would be heard by neutral arbitrators, but appeals would go to the commissioner, and then the league would still conduct its own independent investigation into such matters. So those are the main aspects that are being proposed in the new NFL collective bargaining agreement. DJ Matty C, are these proposals absurd or approved?
Mostly absurd. And I'm going to tell you why. a 17-game schedule, you take out a preseason game. Honestly, I only think you need 2 preseason games, honestly. And for them to have 3, yeah, I get it. But also, if you add an extra game, I mean, it's clear that it's a money grab. It's clear that it's a money grab. I think it's completely absurd. And a lot of players, like, for instance, J.J. Watt, he said it was a hard no. It was a hard no from him. I believe, funny, I believe Stephon Diggs tweeted as well, got to vote no. So take it however you want there, okay, Twitterverse. But, the player discipline for off-the-field violations, I like how they kind of do that. Teams would be able to activate a third player off injured reserve during the season. I think that gives teams more flexibility. That's nice. But the whole home game, the home games type of thing, I just think you keep it the way it is. You make some minor changes. I believe that they need to make some changes to the, pass interference rule, offensive, defensive, things like that. But, this doesn't make any sense for them to add an extra game. It doesn't. Because it's just, it's a lot of wear and tear on these players. They're already giving a lot, okay, with a 16-game season. For goodness sakes, if you keep adding more games and stuff like that, you're going to, wear out a lot of these players. And then also you're going to see influx, and again, hopefully not, influx of concussions, possibly. We got to think of the longevity of the players. We want to keep them safe too, right? But if you add an extra game, and then with the whole playoff aspect too that was thrown in there, yeah. I guess I'm not totally against it, but I think it's a little absurd because it's like, well, then you add another decent, like they're like on the cusp, but
Yep.
then they're like towards the bottom. They're like in the basement almost. Like
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I look at it. And you don't want to like a 7-9. Well, I believe Blake said here on our chat. The NFC East is a weak division.
Oh yeah.
And let's just think if the Cowboys really stink it up, they win the division, and they're 6-10.
They do that?
and they're 6-10 or 7-9. Yeah, we've seen the Seattle Seahawks take down the Aints. Like, hey, that was awesome. Okay, the Beastquake, everything along. Like, I love football. I love more football. But the thing is we got to think about the players here as well. So, like J.J. Watt said, it's a hard no from me too. So I don't know. What do you think, Curve Doctor?
Well, I like that meme that was circulating around where a guy replied to J.J. Watt's Twitter. The guy says, "Why does it matter? You only play 5 to 6 games a season."
Yeah, I did see that.
So I don't know why he's complaining. He's really not going to be playing too much.
Oh, sure.
But no, I agree. There's a lot of ridiculousness in there, and I'm going to give you that absurd as well, too.
Yeah, I just, Curve Doctor, I just don't see this benefiting anyone.
No, it really doesn't add anything valuable.
It's the owner's like, well, we get more money out of this.
Like you said, I think if anything, you're selling more newspapers, even though most people don't read newspapers anymore. But
True.
in the sense it
They read
does trigger social media. It does a media blitz and got a little tension because off season.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. I think the only thing good is, like you say, bringing that arbitrator. Doesn't hurt to
the
have
neutral.
that.
I get that. I think they got to be better with the discipline aspect. They've gotten better, but it's not to a point where you're like, oh wow, this is like so much better.
Yeah.
They've goofed on a lot of suspensions.
Oh my gosh, big
lot.
time. Yeah.
And
if you
some
could
that they
find
have deeply, very deeply regretted.
Well, if you could find a legit neutral arbitrator to do it, because obviously the players' union is sort of separate from the NFL, and their NFL sort of separate from them, but they're in the same universe. So I think if you could bring in a neutral party, you might be able to bring the reputation up, especially for the league's benefit. I think too, with all these scuffles.
So you just kind of look at this and just say, you know what, the players aren't going to approve this. I can guarantee you right now. There's a report before we started the show here saying that it's going to take some time to them to look at the new CBA. Not going to happen. It's absurd. That's how I look at it. So I believe we got one more, Curve Doctor. Why don't you rattle the last one off for us, please?
It would be my great honor, DJ Matty C. All right, here's what we got. Signs down. The Astros got a taste of what it is to come this MLB season with fans all over booing and bringing signs in to let the Stros know to have it after the 2017 cheating scandal. So security at the spring training games took away all fans' signs during most of the games that they have played so far. No signs to be found with the Astros, ironically. So I ask you this, DJ Matty C. Absurd or approved security taking away signs during the spring training games?
I've been, Curve Doctor, I've been chomping at the bit for this one.
I bet you have.
When I saw this, I looked at this whole cheating scandal, okay? And when Voldy was talking about that, it's part of the game, things like that. But the thing is that, yeah, it is part of the game, but how they did it is what really kind of irks me with this Houston Astros team. And the fact that how they handled the media and how their public apology went, it's 100, 1,000, I mean, 1,000,000,000% absurd. I mean, it really is, okay? And I understand, there's a lot of stadiums that say you can't bring in signs. You can't, I understand that aspect, but they need to understand that this team cheated to win a World Series. And I tell you what, us Vikings fans have bad memories of that.
Yes, we do.
But that's for another time. Another story for another time for our zoners.
Oh, yeah.
But when you look at this, I mean, fans should let them have it. Honestly, they really should. They should let them have signs, especially for this Astros game, because you know what? It makes it a little exciting. It gives it a little flavor to say we hate this team now. We don't like Altuve. We don't like Correa. We don't like Springer. We don't like any of those guys. But we also have to understand here too, is that this is something that we need to look at from a different perspective and say, hey, this team cheated. I'm sorry. They did. Okay? They cheated. They got caught. They did their little public apology. Yeah. Let the fans boo them. I mean, for the Twins, I hope they boo them out of the stadium. And I hope they beat. I mean, the thing is with teams trying to beam the players and stuff like that for the Astros, that's absurd to do that. I'd say you beat them at their own game. Beat them, beat the team. Don't try and beat them by throwing baseballs at them. We got another comment here from Court Hansen. Absurd. Astros get everything that they have coming. They need to be reminded as often as possible. Exactly. I'm with you. I mean, the zoners all agree.
Yeah.
The zoners all agree. Okay. Jose Altuve and then that Correa guy saying that, believe what you want, and then he's, cussing and everything. You got caught red-handed, buddy. You got caught red-handed. Okay? Now, the thing is that the guys that were involved in that should have been suspended. They should have. They should have. Thank you, Blake. Yeah, I know. I was getting really into it, but yeah, the beats not beat. Yeah, it's true.
Or, to me, Matt, what I like to think of is, as a prominent substitute teacher once said, you done messed up, Ron. In this case, the Astros. What were you thinking?
It's a hee-haw factory in here with
It
those jackasses. I'm not going to lie. But the thing is that these Astros deserve everything that they got coming to them. Okay? And it baffles me. It really baffles me. And the thing is well, granted, they did kind of screw the Yankees onto a World Series title. But the thing is I guess I don't really care much about that. As long as it wasn't the Twins.
Yeah, we won't cry about that too much.
Yeah, we won't cry about that, but at the same time, too, yeah, they did. But, hey, you know what? Yep. They cheated to do it, which is, come on.
Never good.
You don't cheat to win, okay? That's what the Aints did in 2009. And, again, we won't get into it. God knows, we could have a 3-hour show about that whole 2009 scandal.
Oh, we could write books about it. I mean, yeah, there's plenty to discuss on that one.
Oh my gosh. We might have to have a full show for that.
There we go.
That's an idea.
Zona special. Yeah.
Zona special. And I think Voldy would agree too. They deserve everything that they have coming to them. But again, we how they did it is something that, there's a lot of passionate MLB fans, Curve Doctor, and we all have to understand that. It's trying to, intentionally hit these players, throwing baseballs at them, intentionally hitting them. No, you shouldn't do that. But the players, the people that were involved, like Laura's saying right here, the big mistake of the league to make was by not punishing the athletes involved. Those that admitted involvement should have consequences. And we have a former Astro, the Twins have a former Astro on the team.
Oh, yeah.
Marwin Gonzalez. Mm-hmm. And he admitted and he apologized. Yep. Should he be disciplined? Maybe. But it doesn't seem like they will. He's on a different team now.
True.
Where hopefully none of that was going on with the Twins. But they're too cheap to do that. Anyway, but yeah, it's absurd. And I'm sure you agree with me here too, Curve Doctor, right?
Yeah, you're paying me to agree with you. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you're right. In Monopoly money, so it's still good.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. That's true. Monopoly money. So you think it's absurd?
Oh, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, what they did was wrong. 1,000% agree.
Well, close enough. So. But anyway, I think, it's gotten our zoners talking a little bit, and, it is what it is. Okay. But anyway, I think we need to wrap things up with our Shield shoutouts. Okay, I know I'm not the Shield people. Okay, I know I'm not the Shield. But the thing is that he sent them in, so we're going to read them off for you. So why don't you check out some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
Well, Shield, who are you shouting out tonight? Well, DJ Matty C. No, I can't really do a good Voldy impression. I'm sorry. But anyway, this Shield shout-outs, this is what the Shield wants us to shout out. So I'm going to read off our Shield shout-outs here. So the first one that we have today, zoners, Dean Evison, interim Minnesota Wild head coach. It's a Shield shout-out for his first career NHL victory as head coach over the Vancouver Canucks. 4-3 shootout victory for the Minnesota Wild on February 19th. So you gotta give a Shield shout-out for your first a career NHL victory as a head coach. So good for Dean. I don't know if he'll be the head coach in the future. Doesn't seem like it, but hey, win's a win. It's in the record books. So anyway, moving on, we're going to stay in the National Hockey League. 42-year-old David Ayers, who made his NHL debut as an emergency goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes on February 22nd versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, made 8 saves against the team that employed him as a practice goalie. Okay, North Carolina honored him with David Ayers Day on Tuesday. I mean, if you're getting honored and having your own day there, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And especially if you're 42 years old, I mean, oh my gosh, dream come true, right? So anyway, Shield shout out to David Ayers. Moving on to our next one, Maroon Mamba is home. The Minnesota Lynx signed Lakeville native and former Gopher star Rachel Banham, baby. She is back in Minnesota. She's former Big Ten Player of the Year, 6th all-time NCAA leading scorer with the 3,093 points. So Shield shout-out goes out to the Maroon Mamba. Okay? All right, so we got another one here. 32-year-old Maria Sharapova retiring from tennis. 'Tis a sad day for the tennis world. She announced Wednesday former number 1 ranked player won 10 Grand Slam titles, including a Wimbledon, U.S. Open, Australian Open, French Open. She's won all the Opens. Okay? And then she had a record of 645 and 171. That's crazy. with a record 36 titles. Man, that's crazy. And she's only 32 years old, which is like, wow. But the thing is that she has the resume, Hall of Famer for sure. So Shield shout out goes out to Maria Sharapova. And then lastly, the World Baseball Classic announced Tuesday the venues for the 2021 tournament, including the Chase Field in Phoenix, and the semifinals and finals will be held in Marlins Park in Miami. I got to tell you, the ones that they have in Miami, Kerf Doctor, the stadium that they have is pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. In Miami, Marlins Park.
There's some nice renovations I see there, too, which is pretty sharp, too, and pretty neat to see something different
Derek
than
Jeter
a
owns
traditional
that
bowl.
team. You know, it's crazy. But the thing is that, you know, all these Shield shout-outs are fantastic, you know. But Voldy wanted to give them out to the zoners because it's for you guys. It's for the zoners, baby. You know, we got to give you them Shield shout-outs all day and every day. So the thing is that we'll probably have Voldy back, Kerf Doctor, hopefully next week.
Absolutely.
But I think, you know, we did pretty good for coming back after our 1 week hiatus.
I agree,
I'd say.
absolutely.
Even without, you know, we need the Shield here.
We do need the Shield,
That's
absolutely.
the thing, is that we need the Shield here. But Kerf Doctor, you know, there's one other order of business that we need to get to before we wrap things up here. If you guys have been following MinneZona Sports Live or the Sports Zone back at when we were the Sports Zone at SMSU, we did this thing called Absurd Statements. You guys know it, ARA, Most Approved Statement, Most Absurd Statement. So, zoners, here's what I need you guys to do, okay? Whether it's me, Shield, or the Kerf Doctor, we want you to send in legitimate absurd statements, okay? For all of you zoners out there, we need to have absurd statement. It could be, you know, it could be from anywhere, okay? You can have it from tennis, you can have it from football. I mean, any place from the NFL. I've been looking at some absurd statements. I have some within our bag of tricks and stuff like that, because the thing is that we got to have those statements so then we could rank them and see where they're at.
True. Got to be able to rank them.
We've had award winners for Most Absurd Statement of the Year, Most Approved Statement of the Year, which has been won by the one and only Mr. Patrick Callahan, who I know as my father as well. And then we have Most Absurd Statements from people like Will Glancy and Tyler Meyer. I mean, we got absurd statements all around. So it can be from anyone within your circle. It can be it could be celebrities, you know, things like that. So Kerf Doctor, I mean, we got to have our zoners send in some.
We do. Send them in. Send them by carrier pigeon, telegraph, Morse code, you name it. On a shipping container, whatever you got to do.
Yep. I mean, you can send it by Raven, Game of Thrones.
That works too. We like ravens.
That. I mean, that's
Watch
true.
out for archers, though.
Yeah, that's
be
true.
risky.
That's true. Stay away from those White Walkers.
That's true too.
Yeah, you got to stay away from those White Walkers. So anyway, zoners, send them in for us. We want to hear from you. We want to see what kind of absurd statements we can get, you know, going and see where we can rank everything. You know, because that's what we do here on the Zone. We have fun. You guys send it in to us. Hey, it's going to be fantastic. Okay, so send in your absurd statements. Send in your most approved statements too. Any of them, throw them in to us, and we'll check it out. So, but anyway, Kerf Doctor, great job.
Hey, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You pulled double duty today. Did a fantastic job.
Hey, pleasure.
Especially with no shield. We don't have the shield today.
It's true.
Okay, but hey, you know what? Hey, yeah, check it out. Yeah, see Amber? There he is.
Yeah.
Kerf Doctor, he's on the screen.
I am
here.
making my cameo in that
He's
too.
making your
Flattered to
cameo,
be
and he
here.
filled
I
in
am
nicely.
here.
He is here. He is here, people. So, but anyway, we will be back next week. We won't have another 1 week hiatus for the foreseeable future, as I've looked. But episode 5 went really well today, and be sure to keep up to date with all of our content on the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, and the YouTubes as well. And we're going to have some clips thrown your way. I mean, it's just going to be fantastic. So we appreciate you guys staying here and checking out the show tonight, even though we had no Shield. But, hey, you know what? We did okay. He'll be back next week. I got a feeling.
I got a good feeling, too.
I got a good feeling about it, too. So, as always, Zoners, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla!
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.